Welcome to Goat Talk Live here on Monday nights.
I don't know. I get a little tired of hearing, right?
The 99 is terrible. I'm lacking for some reason. It's real white and flabby.
Every week, every day, I'm on here doing GLR stuff, you know.
Eddie, I tell everybody who'll listen that we're a really big deal.
Continues to grow and grow and grow.
Well, welcome everybody. Goat Talk Live here on VSPEED on a Monday night. And man, look who we got in here tonight. We got Jacob Bellings, of course, your co-host as always. And then we got Patrick Drabick. We had a backup. We needed a backup, and I couldn't think of anybody better than Patrick Drabick. He's got a lot going on, stuff to talk about. I think it worked out just perfectly. Jeremy Garner, get out of here. We're getting Patrick Drabick in here to talk about some stuff that we got going on in Goat Locker. Goat Locker been busy the last couple days, Pat. You're at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, and seemed like it went really good. How'd it go, man?
Well, one, thanks for having me. I mean, I agree with you completely, wholeheartedly. Jeremy Gardner, I mean, if he can't even show up for Goat Talk, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, we won't even mention his name anymore. But yeah, man, I mean, we have been extremely busy. It's a busy couple weeks here in Goat Locker Racing. Yeah, we were at the National FFA Convention, had an absolute blast. I mean, I'd always kind of heard, you know, how many people actually attended. You know, and they were talking to us a little bit about how many students and teachers, you know, it was going to be like 80,000, I think was this year's attendance. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, and it's hard to put into your mind what that's going to look like when it's 80,000 high school students and they're all just kind of wandering around and everything like that. But man, it was so cool interacting with the youth of this nation from every state in the union. Even saw a group from Puerto Rico, their teachers, you know, all the other different, you know, exhibitors that were there, some of the big farm equipment, you know, John Deere and Case and all those people as well. And I think our mobile sim rig definitely got stress tested for sure. Because, you know, we were there, the exhibit hall opened at noon on Wednesday and then went till 5 p.m. And then on Thursday, it opened up at 8 a.m. and went to 5 p.m. And then on Friday, it was from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I don't know how many hours in total that was, but we were never less than a 10 to 15 person waiting line for the sim rig. And we probably shuffled easily well over 500 people on and off the sim rig throughout that 3-day period.
Man, that's awesome. I was assuming being some sort of interactive thing at a place at an FFA convention is probably really nice to have, especially for young, you know, high school students and stuff. I mean, what was the, you know, sort of what was the feel about, you know, Goat Locker? I mean, obviously you got to talk to a lot of folks about it. You got to meet some folks from Lincoln Tech, which I thought was really cool to be able to kind of further that relationship. Seems like it was a lot of fun. But what did you notice that people were curious about? Obviously, you got something like a sim rig there. People want to jump on it and take it for a spin. Kind of talk about the feeling of what was the feeling of folks that would pull up and stop and run some laps. Mm-hmm. What was the overall just kind of feeling? What were y'all saying to them? You know, I mean, obviously you're at an FFA convention. Y'all aren't doing farm equipment. So how does Goat Locker fit into an FFA convention?
Yeah, that was the interesting part for sure. You know, because we were there in support of Lincoln Tech. You know, Lincoln Tech is one of our biggest sponsors, and they asked us to come out and set up with them to help draw attention. Yeah, that dude was awesome. I actually know who made that suit and all that stuff. Y'all watch out! I'm getting a Goat Locker suit. It's gonna be amazing. And you know, so we were there in support of them and to bring more attention to what they do and bring more students around their booth and everything like that. But we definitely got a lot of questions, you know, from the students, you know, about who we are, what we do, you know, and maybe it was a little bit tougher of a concept for them to understand. It wasn't like a group of veterans or things like that, but we did get a lot of thank you for what we're doing and, you know, how cool is it what we're doing, you know. And then, you know, there were a few iRacers there too, which kind of, you know, caught us off guard a little bit because we had some kids lay some pretty fast laps. I actually had to jump back on the rig and put a fast lap back down because one of the students actually beat it. I'm like, no, not on my equipment, not happening. And a matter of fact, I beat that time right there. Well, with the help of Devin too. We beat it by I think only 1/1000th of a second.
Well,
Um, that's how fast that lap was. I mean, it was a perfect lap.
well, if you're Carson Brower, if you happen to come upon this podcast live right now or later down the road, just know that there was a bunch of old guys trying to get help to try to beat your lap time. So how about that? That's pretty cool.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's always really fun for me to get out there and get in the public and share what we're doing. And to share it with that amount of people was just, it was sheerly amazing. It was chaotic at times. I mean, you have that just mass amount of people. We have big crowds around the tent and the sim rig at the same time. So you're trying to talk to a couple of people, get couple more people, onto the rig. And one of the things they had to do was scan a QR code before they got into the hot lap challenge. So it was a little chaotic for sure. It was some long days, but what a cool experience for Goat Locker Racing.
Well, and the strategy is just to continue to put Goat Locker out there, correct? I mean, obviously with the Lincoln Tech partnership kind of opens the doors to be able to do some things like this. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about trying to continue to get Goat Locker in the forefront of people's minds, just to grow the brand and further it, where people know what it is. And, it's hard to get your name out there a lot of times. I would imagine with veteran organizations, it can be tough to kind of set yourself apart. Is it hard to set yourself apart, especially like a veteran, because there's a lot of those organizations out there? Is it hard to do that? Do you find that challenging, or is that pretty simple?
Nothing simple about this, I'll tell you that, Eddie. And you know that firsthand. Jake knows it firsthand too. There's nothing simple about getting Goat Locker to where it is today. But yeah, you talk about a lot of different veteran organizations, and there are hundreds, thousands of them all across our great country doing fantastic work. Whether they're helping veterans when they transition out of the military, whether they're helping them with employment, housing, getting their VA benefits, education. There are a lot of great organizations that do like excursions. They'll take you out hunting, they'll take you out fishing, they'll do all kinds of things with you. But for us here in Goat Locker Racing, this was nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing what we're doing. So we have found that people are really gravitating toward it and grabbing onto what we're doing because nobody else is doing it. We get a lot of responses like, man, this is awesome what you guys are doing. Like nobody's doing this, because a lot of the younger veterans, this is what they do. They online game, they're in Discord chats. This is what they're doing. They're playing Call of Duty, which I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 6 here recently. Thank God Round-Based Zombies is back. I've actually been enjoying that a lot. I'll get off the Black Ops 6 thing.
No, we can talk about it. Hey, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I'm up to 800 knife kills so far.
There we go. I like Liberty Falls over Terminus. Liberty Falls is amazing, and the different Easter eggs. And all right, we'll get on from that. But that's kind of been, I want to say, the most surprising part about what we've built here at Goat Locker Racing is just how fast it's gone and how many people are like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, there's nobody doing what you're doing. And so I think that's why it really is, our cap isn't limited by anything, because there are a few veteran organizations that do gaming and things along those lines, and I've seen those organizations as well. But we have the sole focus on racing, and our sole focus, I think, kind of keeps us focused. We're not playing Black Ops 6, and we're not playing this game or that game or this game. We are focused on this, and it allows us to also kind of integrate the equipment into it as well, because that's really one of the biggest barriers to iRacing is cost. Yeah. And we eliminate that. So now, it's been challenging. It hasn't been easy. But finding our space and finding our spot within the veteran spaces, we've definitely planted our flag, and a lot of people are starting to recognize it.
Well, and I'm sure there's a lot of veterans out there that are homebodies, that like to stay at home. And organizations say, "Oh, come out here, come do this, go there, and go there," and they're like, "Golly, I'm sure." And I know that probably I'm making it sound like somebody might be ungrateful about that, but some people just like to stay at home, and what a cool thing to be able to introduce somebody to iRacing or give them the opportunity to do that and just kind of be at home and be a part of a group like Goat Locker. But you mentioned a sim rig, which is something that Goat Locker is all about, and I think we've been giving out a couple in the next week or so, and you gave out one today, didn't you, Pat?
I did. So I had yeah, we're busy. We're really busy. We had the opportunity to give one away, and there's John Houchin, as I learned to pronounce it today. Thanks, Eddie, for making me do that, actually, because we were both way off. Well, not way off, but it's John Houchin. John Houchin is a Army veteran. He was a Green Beret, so Special Forces, multiple tours in North Africa and also Afghanistan, where he suffered some combat injuries and then was subsequently medically retired. So he went through the application process. InVets, sent out our application. He filled out one of them. So he went through our selection process and our board of directors and things like that, and he was selected for the veteran sim rig. So I was actually able to drive down to Bloomington today, home of the Indiana Hoosiers, who I think are having a pretty good football season. Last I checked. Yeah. So right there in the heart of Hoosier land, right there, and it's hard for me to put into words, as my phone is going off over here, which I meant to silent, what the experience is like making the phone call to these veterans, and to hear their excitement in their voice and all the different things. And of course, learn more about them as well as I'm talking to them. But to actually, load the Goat Locker truck up, head whatever direction I'm going to head to deliver the equipment. And when I do, and I get to sit down with them face to face, and we get to chat a little bit, and I get to learn more about their story, it's just an emotional experience. John was extremely grateful, and just like a kid on Christmas, he couldn't wait probably for me to get out of the house so he could start tearing into the boxes. It's that level of excitement. They want to tear into the boxes. They want to start building. They want to start racing. So be on the lookout. He's going to be hitting the track with us here soon. Yeah, but just way too cool today, man. And it makes all the work and all the headaches and all the other stuff that kind of goes into Goat Locker racing. That moment right there makes it all go away. It makes it well worth it.
Yeah, man, that's so awesome. And if you're wondering, that's what Goat Locker's about. So when we talk about the racing, we make fun of some Discord comments today, and we talk a little bit about some incidents on track. Just realize this is what it's all about. This is really what's important. That's why we make fun of the Discord comments, because at the end of the day, Goat Locker exists for this reason right here, and that's to put some joy into some veterans' hands. That's why they exist. And so it's really cool to see that that dream that y'all had sort of come to life. And it seems like more and more y'all are able to do that. And I think actually you're going to give out two of them in the next it's one today, and I think one in maybe a week or so in Ohio. So branching out of Indiana, InVets, of course, or not InVets, but Indiana Veteran Department of Veteran Affairs is the one that sponsors the Indiana one. Talk a little bit about the Ohio one that you're going to be giving out at Nasty's.
Yeah, so in the period of 6 days, we're going to give out two of them. So we gave out one today, and then Saturday we are presenting one to Gary, who is another combat veteran from Afghanistan. He's there in Ohio. And so we've been working with Nasties for months now. I mean, I think everybody's well aware of that, heard the name many a times. We've done some special charity races with them that VSPEED actually broadcast. And, so we've done a lot with Nasties. The whole goal with that whole thing, which I don't think a lot of people were aware of, is that they wanted to raise enough money to present a rig. And so we kind of got to that mark. And so we pulled the trigger. We set a date, which is, coming up here on November 2nd. Had to be an Ohio State away game because, when Ohio State's at home, I guess nobody's in the bar. They're actually at the game. So it's an away game. And yeah, so this Saturday, it's a noon game, which kind of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into the plans there. Everybody thought that was going to be an evening game, but it turns out it's going to be a noon one. So the restaurant will open up at 10 a.m. for everybody to come in and enjoy. We are actually setting up there Friday at about 1 p.m. We're going to be set up at Cruising Classics. We're going to spend a couple hours there with them. They've been a tremendous sponsor and supporter. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the sim rig because I'm going to be off looking at cars and trying to take one of them. So I hope somebody's guarding the sim rig because I ain't going to be anywhere near it. And then we're going to pack up from there, head over to Nasty's for some spend a couple hours on Friday evening, raising some money, letting people get on the sim rig and stuff like that, and then we'll be there all day Saturday. And then at halftime of the Ohio State game, we're going to give away another sim rig, this time to an Ohio veteran, thanks to Nasties and Cruising Classics, who have put a lot of time and energy and effort into raising the money to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, and so when anybody goes back and watch this, when you have to read off that list of sponsors at the end of the broadcast when you win or finish in the top 3, and you have to read off this long ass list and go, why do I have to read all this? This is why there is so many people that are putting a lot of time and effort and deserve to be shout out. That's why the list is so long, and Nasties has been just an incredible, important addition to that list for sure. So how about that? That's going to be cool. I can't wait to see those pictures, and I think that, man, it's so awesome. We could spend all day, I think, talking about this type of stuff. Now, the question I have is, who's setting up these sim rigs? Is it you or is it somebody else?
You mean the ones we give to the veterans?
No, the ones when y'all go to like the FFA convention and Nasties. Who's setting those up?
Why does this feel like a loaded question? Why does this feel like no matter what answer I give, it's not going to go my way?
I just want to know who's setting them up.
Me.
How long does it take you to get it set up? Are you getting pretty good at it now?
Yeah, it's not too bad, quite honestly. With the rig itself, it's on casters, so we're able to wheel it in there. Most of the stuff's still attached to it. The 49-inch widescreen's on like a quick disconnect mount, so we just kind of take it off and pack everything up, and everything's got its own little crates and everything like that. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time to get the thing set up, but and we're getting a little bit better at it for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. It always seems like that would be the toughest part, is getting there, getting everything set up, and hoping there's no issues, troubleshooting any kind of issues, and then the jack legs will get on there and try to throw the thing around and try to break the wheel. What kind of wheel is on there, by the way? Is it a strong
It's a
DD
Sim Magic.
wheel? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
They're not gonna break
Sim
it.
Magic Mini. Yeah, I mean, we went, with some better equipment on the thing, knowing it was going to get some use. I mean, it's a set of Husinkwelt, ultimate pedals. It's a Sim Magic Mini. We've got both the Sim Magic, formula wheel, and we've got a whoever makes MPI actual NASCAR rim with it as well. The PC, I mean, that thing's a monster. It's built by Alexander PCs. That thing, it was built to do exactly this, to go to trade shows and things like that. So we haven't had any equipment issues yet. I'm not saying they're not going to happen, but I think knock on wood or whatever, we're due.
Yeah.
So far so good.
I'll tell you what I'd be doing. If any kids walked up, I'd be looking at their fingers, going, "You better not have sticky fingers." I'll be looking at the candy and like, "What you got in your hand? Don't, you're not, nope. You can go on somewhere else. Go find a big rig or something to go look at this side."
Well, we're getting ready to set up at Nasties. I mean, I'm not saying a beer or two might not end up on the rig. I don't know. We're gonna figure out how that one goes. I might have to clean the thing really good when I bring it home this next time.
Yeah. Well, I might have to put up a little screen or something to keep the splash, this little splash guard, especially if Ohio State wins, which they've been doing a pretty good job of here lately. So. Yeah, it's just really cool to see that all play out, see the pictures. We always love as many pictures as we can get. We like to see those and see what y'all are doing. I can't wait to maybe one day get to be a part of one of those and show up. So I'm looking forward to the day that that happens. But just another cool thing. Can't wait to see the pictures, even the more of the videos and stuff from today. I know you got some of those ready to go. Just get them edited up, tightened up a little bit, and then we'll show those off next week. And then can't wait to see Gary Cox get his, and hopefully it'll be a lot of cool pictures from Nasties. I'm looking forward to seeing what the inside of Nasties looks like. There's a lot of big talk about it, so excited to see what that place looks like. Seems like a pretty good, and that's on November 2nd, correct?
Yes, sir. So this Saturday coming up, like I said, Friday we'll be set up at Cruising Classics, and we'll head over there in the evening for a couple hours, and then all day Saturday, come out and see us, and then come out and meet Gary as we present his rig to him as well.
Busy. I like it. It's good to stay busy like that. I mean, it's really cool. Awesome. All right. Well, let's is there anything else you want to talk about? I think we kind of covered everything right there. So is there anything, Pat, you want to talk about at all?
No, I think we did kind of nail it.
All right. Well, man, my goodness, it feels like we're getting good at this. I like it. Well, Well, kind of move into a little BS session, and I wanted to start this week. I had a few questions that I dropped into the kind of the teaser, I guess, of the and Jake, you've been real quiet, and so we got to bring you in here and talk to you. I'm gonna go ahead and get you into the fold. I got to get your vocal cords warmed up, but. We had a good couple races, and then we had a bad one on Friday, and then I'm gonna put the dirty laundry out here. But you said I'm selling my sim rig. I'm done. I've had enough. So I'm gonna ask you out here in front of everybody. Is that true? Are you really selling your sim rig? What's the deal? Talk to us.
It's the wife is slowly talking me out of it. I'm still hard set on selling it, but she's definitely hard set on keeping me in the seat. And there's been quite a few guys in Discord that have sent me messages, telling me that I will regret it and whatnot. But the plan right now is to still sell everything.
So talk us through it. What is the deal? Let's get our psychological hats on and let's figure out what is the deal with Jake Elliott. What's the problem? You've had a few bad weeks, and we talked about that a little bit. But everybody gets in a funk. Everybody gets in a bad funk, and you get obviously you get emotional about things when things happen. We see that on the cameras. You get frustrated really easily. So talk to us about it. I mean, what is it? Do you feel like it makes you matter when you don't want to be like that, or you're just not having fun? What exactly is the issue that we're having, Jake? Because we're gonna get through this. We're gonna make sure you hang on to it by the end of this podcast. Okay.
I really couldn't tell you to boil it down to a singular point. I think it's just a culmination of things that happened throughout the season where I had enough, and I just want to take that step back, permanently, and just kind of do my behind the scenes thing and call it a day at the end of the day.
Well, let me offer this. Let's do this. Let's make a deal, okay? Because we're not gonna sell everything. Somebody would be glad to poach that off of you. We're not doing that. So we're not gonna sell it. But what you could do is maybe just take some time off. Maybe try that. Maybe tell your wife, here, take the wheel. Take my wheel like you've been drinking too much, and hide it somewhere until I feel like I'm ready to race, and then maybe give it back to you. Because I definitely think you'll regret it, and I think you'll 2 or 3 months down the line, I think you'll go, you know what, I do all this work behind the scenes because I love Goat Locker, but also because I like to race, and I like to race with these guys. I like the competition side of it. Being a race control all the time, doing stuff behind the scenes is not fun. Or it's fun, but I'm saying it's not. It's a lot of work, and the payoff is you get to go and race. And so if you sell that sim rig, boy, I tell you what, that'd be disappointing. So don't do that. Just take some time off. Everybody needs some time off. Y'all race. Some of y'all whack jobs race 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week. Take some time off. Pick one series, just race it, and take some time off. Don't sell your equipment. That's the biggest mistake you'd make. So I'm gonna put it out there and tell you, don't do it. I agree with your wife.
But Pat thinks I'm nuts because I enjoy doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and I. To the forefront of the racing. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't, but it's starting to become not my cup of tea anymore.
Okay. Well, like I said, take some time off. I would say just take 2 or 3 months. If in 3 months, if you feel like you want to sell it, I guess sell it. But I think in 3 months, take some time off, do your stuff, and then I don't know. I feel weird telling a man what to do, but if you want to sell it, you sell it. But I think the point is we want you to stay around. We want you to race. You've come a long way on the racecraft and stuff. You've come a long way on your skill level. Why stop now? You definitely have the ability to go out and win many a championships. You've already won a few, so just seems like you hit a rut. You can get out of it. Just take some time off. That's what I'd say. I don't know, Pat. Help me out here. I'm doing all the talking.
Well, I've done plenty of talking. I mean, plenty of talking behind the scenes. We all need a break from time to time. I mean, It does. It becomes a lot, especially when you race that much and And you know, for a lot of these guys, and I get it, we were talking about this a little bit before, you know, you get pretty heated about certain things, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, some of us got, you know, way too much money in these sim rigs. And, you know, so we take things very seriously and all that stuff. And we do. We take time out of our day, time away from our families to sit down and race and, you know, and to do something that should be relieving stress. And then it adds stress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just got to take a couple solid deep breaths. And every once in a while, man, you know, there's a lot of times definitely for me, man, when those off weeks come up, I'm like, thank God. You know, I could just disconnect for a little bit, you know, set the rig off to the side and, you know, not sweat it. But I suppose sometimes it's a little easier for me though. I mean, I've got so much other stuff going on outside of Goat Locker. Like, yeah, there's some stuff on track that irritates me, for sure. Like your little kid, Lucas. But you know, hey, your son, you know, Lucas, you know, that poor little guy. I wanted to give him a cheeseburger last week. He looks like he needs some food, like badly. You know, I felt bad for him, you know. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, we all need to take a break every now and again. We all need to take a deep breath and look at the bigger picture. You know, and I think you said it perfectly, Eddie. That was the bigger picture. You know, going meeting John today was the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Whatever happens on track, man. I'll be pissed about it for about 30 seconds. I'm gonna jump in some soapbox. I'm gonna just, you know, make some comments and then move on.
Yeah. Well, I think burnout's very real. Burnout's,
Oh, yeah.
you know, big on anything you do. It takes the joy out of it, and all of a sudden you're zapped of joy. But I can tell you, I've taken quite a few breaks of iRacing. You know how to know someone's been on iRacing from the very start. Do y'all know how to find that out?
No.
They tell you.
No.
And I've been on iRacing since the very beginning. And so I've taken so many years breaks, and I'll tell you, there's nothing quite like after a long break, putting that wheel back in your hand, getting out on track, and it's just completely different. Like you race, you constantly race. It feels a certain way. You take a break, you come back like 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, and all of a sudden, boom. Oh man, this is incredible. You're going around a track just by yourself and you're like, oh man, I forgot how much fun this is. And so if I sold my stuff, if I sold my gear and stuff, I'll tell you what, I'd be sick as a dog. So we're gonna lay off Jake now before he gets upset, and we're not trying to put no pressure on you, but I'm just telling you, we're all kind of saying you don't need to sell, you're not gonna sell. So we'll leave it right there. But you know, we talked about comments in the soapbox. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and jump in and let's see what soapbox comments we had here to this last week. And we'll jump right in here and see what we got going on. Of course, I got to get the music going. Dude, can this broadcast team do anything right? Mispronouncing names for 2 months now, knowing nothing about the races we've run or the league's mission statement. I'm embarrassed watching it. The initial start was a freaking joke. 4 or 5 cars probably had damage before the flag flew. Freaking joke. Everyone, at least in the top 10, tried to get a run, and it checked up everything. WTF are y'all doing? Freaking embarrassing.
Stop yelling at me.
Typical clown move. Next time you ram me in my ass, at least pull my hair.
Fair request.
Don't know how much freaking closer you wanted me to get to the damn wall, but hey, thanks for freaking my race. I was having a great night until the last restart, and I left someone too much room below the line after the start-finish line, and they came up and I got net-coated from the outside truck. Next time I will not give the person in the line any room to come up. I played too nice and it cost me way too many positions. Great race, enjoyed it. You basically mess up someone's race at least once a week, it seems lately, and dude, know how you gonna be bitching about people racing you hard and wrecking when you're probably the worst one in the league about driving too aggressive. Maybe if y'all as much as y'all cry when someone blinks y'all could get a few green laps in. Blinking is one thing. Your car look like a freaking strobe light with your Goodwill internet connection. I don't really care I was 15 laps down fixing my internet. Not my fault half of y'all can't hold a line. If he had talent, he would know how to spin a car out and not take others out. This race was an absolute shit show. Listen to the broadcast and watch the comments. Everyone here thinks this is a rookie league. Can I ask the admins, maybe we shorten the race to 50 to 60 as we pace more than we raced? Bad when broadcasters are making fun of you fixing your fantasy football instead of paying attention to racing. The 99 is terrible. Well, another great week. And another great run of Soapbox. That was all from this week, and there's more. I left some out in the idea of time, but the Soapbox I think has been pretty good. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So I'm glad that exists, and those are some funny ones. But let's move on. Let's talk. We're going to talk about some other stuff. But first thing we got to do is we got to get to the GOAT of the week. One of my favorite new segments. We only have two segments, but this is one of my favorite ones that I've come up with. It's all my idea, nobody else, and it's GOAT of the week. And what that means is somebody, and it's all personal. All three of us are going to pick somebody, and it's somebody that impressed us in some way. Not about skill on the track, not about how fast you are on the track. It's about what you do for the community. Maybe your racing style that was, you did a great job by spinning and not, wrecking, or, just any example in real life doing something. I mean, I'm really stuttering through this. The idea is it's not just about speed or being a champion or whatever they get to interview, but the GOAT of the week is about somebody who does something a little bit extraordinary in this week. And so I'm going to start with you, Pat, and put you on the spot. And who is your GOAT of the week?
Man, I went with Devin Smith. I kind of mentioned it before at the FFA convention, but Devin was the second recipient of one of our veteran sim rigs. He's just an awesome gentleman. And, he's slowly and very quietly kind of working his way up the Arca ranks right now. He's actually got himself in kind of playoff contention as well. I don't think anybody's really kind of noticed it. He's just kind of quiet and keeps to himself and has been continued to learn his craft. And then he's still kind of in the throes of, looking for employment and things like that. So he was the first one to raise his hand and it's like, hey, I was listening to Goat Talk. So Eddie, people do tune in. And he's like, hey, I heard you guys got these events coming up. If you could use my help, let me know. And I'm like, come on. So he spent a couple days down at the FFA convention with us. He actually got there at noon both days. Stayed till everything closed down, shut down the sim rig for us. So Devin Smith is my GOAT of the week.
I like it. And he's been doing a great job on track too. I've raced around him a few times, and honestly is picking it up really quickly. So, all right, Jake. Well, who you got for GOAT of the week?
I'm going with Chuck Feltz. Not only is he very respectful, but he's stepped up in the Xfinity series and doing race control every week for the Xfinity series. So not only is he racing and doing his thing on track, he's starting to take more of an admin role in GLR.
Hey, well, we love that. Mine is going to be Jonathan Cofield, and the reason being is, we had an incident. We're going to talk about it a little bit. We got to start talking about things that go on the. So I'm going to spoil it a little bit, but had a little run in with another driver, Tanner Bethea, in the Arca series, and I got to give him props. I went back and watched it after the fact, and I was so kind of taken aback about his restraint, because I don't think anybody in here probably watching or in the Discord that I know very few drivers would get hit like that and be able to race around that guy, not just send him into the nether realm. And go back and watching that move. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I got to give it to Jonathan Cofield. I think he showed a lot of restraint there, even wrecked his own race to stay off of Tanner on the white flag lap. And so that's going to be my go of the week. It's a little bit on track thing. Y'all's are much better, but I still wanted to shout out when people do the right thing on the track, and I think he did a good job. So I think those are all good GOATs of the week, and we definitely appreciate all the guys that we've shouted out over the past couple weeks. But let's get into it a little bit. I'm ready to talk about some of these races, and I want to talk about some things that have happened. So we'll get everything moved around here, and we'll jump into some of the races. I don't think I missed anything. Nope, no guest interview this week. And let's jump into the Hidden Wit Brew. We'll kind of zoom on quickly through these. We won't spend as much time. But you can see the standings right there. And boy, I guess it's nice to have the winner, the first winner, first win of Patrick Drabick here this week in the Hidden Wit Brewery. He had to put 5 flat tracks on the track to finally get one, and he finally does it. So it's incredible, because I said on Goat Talk the night before, I said Patrick Drabick's going to win that race. And y'all had a pretty good battle, both of you two. Y'all battled it out, but at the end, Patrick was able to get the win. And I'll tell you what, before I run my mouth anymore, let's take a look at it. Well, Drabick going to come off of turn 4. Barney's got the white flag in hand. Drabick, 0.4 of a second. Not anything that Ellingson's going to be able to do, as long as Drabick keep it together, not make a mistake here. And I think even if it comes to a close finish, I think they're probably doing it on purpose, because there's no way that Ellingson is going to get around this 07. And sure enough, not going to happen. Coming off the corner, turn number 4, and Drabick going to get his first win of the season here at the Hidden Wit Brewery Xfinity Series. So, hey, I called it. I said Drabick's the man to beat last night on Goat Talk, and that was the case. What a great battle between these two teammates, and a good second-place finish for Ellingson. All right, well, so there you go. I called it, and I want to make sure y'all know that I called that. And what a good race. And, you know, I wonder sometimes if I shouldn't maybe build more drama instead of just saying the obvious thing, which I knew that Jake, there's just no way you're going to get around him the way that track runs. So pretty good battle, though. What was the race like out there? You know, talk a little bit about the race and that little battle y'all had at the end.
I mean, it was definitely loose off of 4 every single lap. But other than that, I mean, short of sending Pat, there was definitely no way I was passing him.
I mean, have you ever thought about doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
He didn't only think about it. He said he was going to do it. Like with about 3 or 4 laps to go, he's like, dude, I'm just going to give you the bumper. I'm like, all right, you know, hey, we're up here racing for the win. I mean, I'm not going to hate you over it or anything like that. But he was like, I'm just going to knock you. And I'm like, well, if you can get to me, come on.
Yeah, well, you couldn't get to him, Jake, but that was a pretty good race. You know, Milwaukee is a very specific track to the style of racing that you have to run, and you know, it can be tough. The field was first time. I mean, not going to highlight this. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why this happens, but the field was a little bit smaller, which you know, in a race like that, sometimes maybe that's a good thing with Milwaukee, because you hate to run under caution for so long in a track like that. So it's so tough to pass that, you know, you're going to end up with a lot of contact. And that overall, that race was pretty clean, just the one caution. But y'all kind of battled it out, and it was seemed like it was a pretty dang good race. And now, Patrick, you locked yourself into the playoffs. No real surprise there. You really weren't in danger of not making the playoffs. But it's got to feel pretty good to get that win, though, and kind of put your name in that hat with the rest of the winners.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it feels good to win. It was a lot of fun battling Jake throughout the entire race, man. I don't know how the two of us were that much faster or whatever, but it just seemed to boil down to the two of us. And whoever got out in front of the other guy just kind of stayed out there. And I just happened to kind of beat him on the green flag stops there by 1 lap and got in front of him. And then and away it went. So no, it was awesome to get the win, especially after heartbreak a couple weeks ago at Kentucky when things happened and whatnot with my system. So, and I mean, this is a stacked roster. That having that few guys was an anomaly. Haven't seen that all season long in any series. Don't know the reason why, but it just was. But it still ended up being a damn good race. But I mean, if you look up there, I mean, there's so many guys that have won in Xfinity. No one has been a repeat winner as of yet. So it has been a fun season. It's been a competitive season. It's going to be interesting when the playoffs kick off.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's still a lot of opportunity to continue to have new winners. Cunningham has been really, really good in the Xfinity series, and of course, last Tuesday was not the greatest example. He was about 8 seconds back from you guys up front. I mean, y'all just had it unbelievably covered in that race.
Yeah.
So it's got to feel cool as a team to kind of see the whole team itself kind of navigate a track like that and sort of you're going to be good when you go to flat tracks. You're going to be good when you go to Nashville. It just seems like y'all are a sort of a cohesive unit constantly. Y'all are always celebrating each other's wins. You're always working together really well. And I think, that's something, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but, I like talking about psychology and stuff when it comes to racing. And, it's so tough to get guys to work together that sometimes when you're racing on track, you have to give and take, and you have to not take the run sometimes to benefit both of you. And I think that's what you guys do really well. Y'all figure that out. Y'all know, okay, well, if we fight it out here, it's probably only going to hurt both of us. And so y'all always do such a good job. And I think that's why y'all always kind of end up 1, 2, 3 a lot of times in some of these races. And so I don't know, talk a little bit about that. How do y'all get each other to work together as a team? Me and Jonah Colbert back in the day, we would do that. I would tell him in championship races, we're both going for championship. It's like, dude, I'm pushing you to the championship. You're going to win this one. And it would just be like, everything I'm going to do is going to be to help you. How do you get each other to do that and just focus on the overall teamwork side of it?
Well, the easy answer is invite Jamie Barkus to your chat and then have him scream his head off at you. You have no other choice but the freaking perform, or that dude is going to flame spray you. I mean, it is by intimidation and threats. That's how we do so well.
So he's the task guy. He's the one that's keeping you guys on what you're about, which is getting the team win. So he's the I can't even think of the word. It's escaping me. He's the taskmaster, I guess, of Goat Locker.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, that's the one.
Well,
I mean, I think we've all just kind of, I don't know, man. When you click with certain people, you click with certain people. I think we complement each other's driving styles. I mean, each one of us is really good at something. We've got Cody McElwain, who is just an absolute animal on the road courses. He's helped me tremendously improve my stuff there. And he's a good all-around oval guy as well. And then Ryan Pendleton the same way. Tremendous on the road courses, great on the ovals. Jamie's got some tracks that he does very, very well at. That performance at Dover in the Truck Series was amazing. He does well at Phoenix, so he does well at Richmond. So learning those tracks, yeah, I mean, it's no secret. I love me a flat track. Put me in a Milwaukee, an IRP, a New Hampshire. Pocono's not flat, but I like the weird ones. I love Darlington. So I like the oddball tracks. So when some guys are struggling there, I can talk to them about what I'm doing there. And then Jake has got his skill set. I'm not sure what it is, but he's got one. He slugs a lot of Red Bull. He starts all of our races. He has a thing that he says before we start. This is no joke. Like, I won't start my qualifying run until he says the thing, and I'll allow him to say the thing. So we just got a way of complimenting each other. And when I'm struggling at something, they've got a way of picking me up and pushing me forward. And then we rarely compete against each other.
Yeah.
We push each other to have better finishes. If you're the guy out in front, you're probably going to be the guy that's going to stay out in front unless you make a mistake or a giant run happens. We just try to elevate each other and have fun with it.
What's the thing, Jake?
Let's fuck some shit up.
Okay.
I won't start my qualifying run until he says it. I'm like, you got to say the thing, Jake. Say the thing.
I don't even know how that started. I think I just said it, and then I just continued to say it, time after time, and now it's just become a thing.
Yeah. Well, want a big thanks to Hidden Wit Brewery for the
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship of the Xfinity series. Of course, Lincoln Tech for their sponsorship of all of these series, the entire fall series. So we definitely appreciate them. Hidden Wit is the broadcast or the sponsor for this series. So we definitely appreciate them coming on board. It's been a really good one so far, as all of them really have. So going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out. But let's move on to the next gen series. This one was pretty straightforward. JJ Moore come out there and kicked ass.
Moore is still pushing that car to the absolute limit of control. The tire fall off has been a big factor in this race. Last time by at a 54.58, which is much slower than his best lap in this race. It really shows you how much these drivers are dealing with the handling woes in these NASCAR next-gen race cars, but in a race of battles, of smoke, of tears at the very beginning, and a whole lot of cautions and drama. Looks like it's going to be JJ Moore going on to the Art of Bricks to win here at the Brickyard. JJ Moore, your winner over Cody McIlwain in P2, and you have to go a little bit farther back to find Jake D. Collins, the driver, the number 81.
Well, JJ Moore gets yet another win. That puts him at win number 2 on the season, and he has been pretty incredible all season in the Next Gen Cruising Classic Next Gen series. And I don't know, Jake, I think you were the only one in the race this week. Your race did not seem to go well. We may not talk about that. We'll just let it go, and we'll just talk about you and Cody, or JJ Moore and Cody McIlwain battling it out there at the end. Cody obviously very good at a track like Indy, and they were just a second apart coming to the checkered flag, but seemed like a pretty good race. 9 lead changes in the race, only 2 cautions for 60 laps at Indy, which is a pretty long race, 60 laps. So pretty good little race. What was your thoughts? What did you see when you were in the race, Jake?
For the short time that I was in the race, I mean, it was fun. The draft played a big difference, down the straights. Arrow going into the corner was really, really tight. And that just made loose off conditions constantly. I think it was lap like 7, 8 or something like that, and I think it was actually somebody wrecked and Ryan ducked down deep underneath, and I just had nowhere to go with the timing that was there, and I just smacked right into somebody.
Well, at the end of it, looks like it was just a JJ Moore and Cody McIlwain fest. I think they were. Yeah. I think third place was like 10 seconds back. So, and Indy is one of those tracks that you can definitely. Patrick, I think of all the tracks we share, which is I'm sure very few because we seem to like very different tracks. I think we both really love Indy because I enjoy Indianapolis a lot in pretty much any stock car. I think it's such a fine line you have to hit every single lap. You can do a little bit of racing. The next gen I think will race side by side a little bit. You can hold off on the outside, which is pretty nice. But it is just a razor's edge every single lap. You have to hit that right there on the grass every single turn, or you're going to be in trouble. So Indy is such a fun track, and it looks like JJ Moore, Cody McIlwain knew what they were doing. I think Jesse Whittington may have been up there at some point and had some sort of issue where he spun out.
I think he either had a spun out or a speeding penalty. It was one of them two things.
Speeding. Both him and Ryan Pendleton both got caught under green flag. Because Ryan is very good at this track as well. So we had a couple speeding penalties, under green flag stops. And in case y'all didn't know, I was in that race for 7 laps.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened to
you? Sometimes people really want to get into a corner quickly.
Okay.
Like they're very anxious about it.
I'm tracking.
It's like prom night, and you're very, very anxious, and you really want to get in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You walk in the front door. You walk in the front door. You look at her. And you say, "You ready to go?"
Yeah. So you're just anxious, and you just. Some people are very, very excited like that over corners, and and they got very excited, and I just happened to be in the way of their excitement. And
I can
so
think
as
of one driver who gets very excited about corners. Are we thinking of the same driver?
Maybe, but the unfortunate part was, this season just hasn't been great for me. I mean, you got a couple weeks here to clean some things up, and and hopefully get back there. But the really really unfortunate part is I'm spun around backwards, up against the outside wall. I see Jake spun around backwards down in the grass, and I'm like, oh. Yeah, so I think during all the chaos and people trying to miss me and the gentleman that hit me, some other people got collected up, which is always the unfortunate part. But hey, you got to applaud the excitement. They're excited. They want to get into that corner. They're just, I got to do it. I got to get there quick. He did too. I mean,
Yeah.
he got there real quick.
Well, you're 10 points above the cutoff at the moment, it looks like. So, talk about this just real briefly about this season. Is it, you think it's the car? Because, I mean, you do really well in every single stock car. Is it the car that's different or just a string of bad luck in this series?
It's just been some bad luck, some wrong place, wrong time, type things.
Yeah.
And some of it's been of my own doing a little bit, not qualifying well, and you kind of get back there a little bit, and then some
Hard
of
to
it,
pass. It's hard to pass in the next gen car. It can be, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, and you can kind of get in those situations, and and then sometimes you just run into very excited people, man, and you got to let them have their excitement, and sometimes that costs you some of your excitement, and that's just what's happened.
There you go. Well, I love it. I love excitement, and that's what the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series has brought. Of course, thanks to Cruising Classics and Nasties now for their sponsorship of that series, and then on Maconey Entertainment. And let's take a little moment. We talked a little bit about this pre-gaming, and I don't know what series it was, but there's been some criticism, which is fine. There's no problem with criticism about the certain broadcasters. We're not going to pick which ones. It doesn't matter. But there has been some criticism, and we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that a little bit, just because there's always two sides to every story. And I think the Sunday Invet series is kind of where this all started, and not picking on anybody in particular. There has been some rumblings, and of course that series had quite a few cautions. I think if I was to look real quick, it had 9 cautions for 35 laps in that race, in an 80 lap race, and that's a lot. And so we kind of wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit, sort of not necessarily defending, but also, maybe a little bit, because I think a lot of times the broadcaster might take a little bit too much heat than maybe they deserve, especially on that Sunday Invet series. I will tell you, it's the broadcaster's job to, and I'm on my soapbox now, sorry, but it's the broadcaster's job to make the races interesting. And so there's a lot of pressure on me as a broadcaster and the other casters who do these type of things to put on a good show. We're trying to give you the best show that we can. We're trying to make sure that we talk. I'm gonna try to keep this brief, but I try to talk about as many people as I can. I try to talk about as positively as I can. I try to show everybody who has a camera. There are so many responsibilities that we try to cover while also calling the story of the race, whatever's going on, keeping up with all the pit strategies, trying to make sure that we say your name right, which is tough. Some of you have some weird ass names, and it just is what it is. So yeah, sure, we should get those right. I'm a big proponent of getting the damn names right. So I will jump on board with that. We need to make sure the damn names are said correctly. But it is tough if you bring in broadcasters that don't know what's going on. But there's so much going on that all I ask is you give some of these broadcasters a little bit of grace. On a Sunday night when they've got a race that has 9 cautions, give them a break. There is not a whole lot of drama building in a race that has 9 cautions where you try to give, a story. You're trying to build a story between a battle between 2 drivers and a caution comes out before you can get to the end of your sentence. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now and just say, give these guys a little bit of grace. Yeah, there's always something we can work on. We can be better. But we've got some really great partners, Nazar, Maconey, and VSPEED. And all we want to do is do the best broadcast we can, put on the best show we can, and do it professionally. So Goat Locker is put into a great light. And, sometimes a broadcaster is going to get aggravated because they can't they can't do their job. They can't do what they're supposed to be doing, which is make the race exciting and make it interesting if it's caution after caution after caution. So sometimes that frustration comes out in the form of being a little bit critical of drivers. And, and I understand if it's you that, you spun out the first time that you spun out all season and the broadcaster, kind of grills into you a little bit. I understand that's frustrating, but, it is definitely tough to do that. And hey, a little bit of grace could go a long way, and especially a race that's real tough about that. Y'all have any thoughts? I'm going to get off my soapbox to shut the hell up.
It was a good one. It wasn't bad. I mean, we all get on a soapbox from time to time. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Broadcasters, especially in this business, don't get paid a whole lot. They're giving up a lot of their time, to come out here and call these races. And yeah, they're getting paid for sure, and I think they all do a pretty dang good job considering what they're, considering what they're given. I truly appreciate all the love that they do give to the sponsors, and reading those things out and all that stuff. But me and Jamie used to broadcast back in the day. That's how we raised a lot of money for Goat Locker Racing. Had a lot of fun with it. But I would tell you what, if we were calling a bad race, we would just start clowning people. Like, if you think, anything that any one of our current broadcasters has said hurts your feelings, let me and Jamie call a race. We would clown some people. Yeah, because, you get in those moments and times. And it's just tough, man. You got to find something to talk about. So you try to add a little bit of levity to it sometimes. And maybe you do, say some offhanded things to just try to add some levity to it, to add something to it. So, because, just cruising under. But yeah, we'll always take the feedback. We'll always take the candid feedback as well. We'll try to improve upon the product and all those types of things. But yeah, man, I mean, just these poor guys are working for nickels, man. Cut them a little bit of slack.
Well, and I think the product that you're seeing, I think it's so quick. It's so quickly able to just kind of go, now I'm going to be super critical like I do on the NASCAR broadcast, where they're a multi-million-dollar organization with maybe hundreds, 50 to 100 people working at a broadcast on site, maybe more elsewhere. I mean, just so many bodies there. And a lot of times these internet broadcasts are just one or two people. And at three at max, and so to get all the stuff that we get, it's a lot to go on, and so I know, like I said, I'm biased, but there's a lot going on, and I think it's cool that people are critical about the little things, because that means that we're fooling the hell out of you, and you think that you're getting a broadcast like what you see on TV, and that does kind of that feels good to me. So yeah, you criticize as much as that, but no, But I was going to move on from this, but I just wanted to say that I thought that was a good conversation we were having, because I understand the frustration that goes on with broadcasters and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's a lot that's going on, and they're trying to do the best they can. And a lot of times, I think back to Gene Watkinson, if anybody remembers him from Rebels. Oh, yeah. So I don't talk about anybody currently in the, but he had one eyeball. Okay, he only had one eye. His depth perception wasn't there, and dadgummit, he was going to come down the track. Now, we love Gene Watkinson if you're a part of the group, and you know all about Gene Watkinson, so you give Gene Watkinson a lot of grace, because he's got one damn eye. But if I was a broadcaster from outside of Rebels and I come in, I don't know a damn thing about Gene Watkinson, so I don't know if he's got one eyeball, two eyeballs, three, maybe multiples. I don't know. But some of these guys, they don't know Goat Locker just yet. They'll learn them, and it'll get a lot better. So anyway, soapbox off. We're gonna move on. We're running out of time. We're trying to make this thing go quickly, so I'm gonna shut the hell up. Let's move on to the Arca finish. I liked this race. I thought it was fantastic. It was just a good all-around race, and it was just a blast. And the fellow who won is a handsome motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now. Let's go check it out.
Cofield, but they going for second. White flag in the air. Eddie Smith all by himself up here at the front.
Here we go.
Trying to get away from this battle going on for that second spot. We got some action back here behind us here about the 24. Cofield and Jonathan Cofield slides sideways. And Tanner Bethea will end up holding on to second, but up front, it is all Eddie Smith. He is going to lock himself in to the Veterans for Life Arca Series playoffs for the pro drivers. Eddie Smith wins here tonight at New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Winner Eddie Smith and Rusty Rafferty wins the amateur division of this race. And I'll tell you what, I was impressed about how well the Arca car drove at New Hampshire. It was actually really, really fun. I normally dog New Hampshire, but honestly, it was a really enjoyable combination to drive. Very hard to pass. I said it was going to be hard to pass at the beginning, and I got really lucky to be able to make up spots on every restart. I kind of channeled my inner Larson and I knew I had to make up spots when available. We had a few cautions early, got up towards the front, and got on a little bit better tire strategy than Jake, which is what I needed to get out front. So just a lot of things went my way to get out front, but was happy to get that win. That was a good one. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to pass, but when you got into the longer run, it was a little bit easier on, if you were on the outside to get the run off the corner. Other than that, I mean, it was could have had a few less cautions and it would have been even better.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to waste too much time because I do want to talk about this little incident, and we normally don't do this, but I just thought it was interesting. Have some topics to talk about. We're going to hit on this one. We're not going to be ugly to anybody, but just a little bit critical, maybe to kind of say what we could do different maybe next time.
Three amateurs lined up in a row. See who's going to win which division. Green flag in the air. Eddie Smith gasses up, but not the jump that we've seen. That inside line get. Big move. Cofield sends it. I told you, Dean, it's send it, son. It's send it time. And he was able to dive it down. Now Bethea's going to be in a big-time mess. Cofield may get him one right here with Eddie Smith. Taking that strategy, trying to stay out of the tires. Whoa! Tanner Bethea. That is beef, Dean. That is beef. Sent that sucker in there on him. Now they're going to door bang even more.
All right, we're gonna pause it right there. And so the thing that I wrote in there, was this move deserved or was it chicken shit? And that was what was said on the broadcast as far as how what this move was like. And so it's a interesting thing that happened there because neither one of them wrecked. And I will say that Tanner did a great job of driving that joker down in there and dooring him out of the way, rooting him out of the way. And after the race, he said that, he felt like he kind of got moved up the racetrack. And so I was just wondering y'all's opinions. We don't have to talk specifically about this, but what is y'all's opinions, and maybe in chat as well, about when somebody moves you out of the way, puts the bumper to you, what is acceptable as far as what does that open the doors of? Or at Goat Locker, we have a very strict retaliation, instant, intentional wrecking policy. Mm-hmm. Neither one of them wrecked. Now there is a very clear distinction there. Now let's hear y'all's opinions. I kind of want to know what y'all's opinions are on this particular incident.
So we got Roshan, but who gets to go first? Go, Jake.
Yeah, no.
Jake had the first. He had the first.
Right.
It's right out the windshield.
Me? Is it me?
Yeah,
go ahead, Pat.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of rules in Goat Locker racing. We look at a lot of different things. You got to take each situation by each situation. The rules are there; they're black and white. Yep, got it. But you could look at any sport, any real life thing, and they'll take a look at the rules, and then they take a look at the context, and they take a look at the situation. So, I mean, if you rough somebody up, I think you do open yourself up to get roughed up back. Whether it was intentional or non-intentional, and this is one of those things too. I think this was like 14 laps to go, so there was, it's already been a long race, and I'm sure some people were a little heated already, and then Cofield gets him there a little bit. I'd seen the incident before, kind of gets him there a little bit, and then again, I talked about this earlier, Eddie, and you guys I think are taking a lot of things out of context right now. Look at this young man and how excited he is to get into this corner. I mean, did you see that level of excitement right there? Like he couldn't help himself. And I don't think anybody really understands. It's hard to control that excitement, man. When you want to get into that corner, you want to get there.
All right,
but,
Jay. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's that is two very fast drivers, two very competitive drivers. Getting after each other, and Tanner thought he was done wrong, so he sends it in there, gives him good old body check, and away they go. I agree with you though, Eddie. I think Cofield definitely showed a lot of patience and grace, and just let it be after that.
Jake, you're right. It was right in front of you, so you got a good view of it. You don't want to say anything? Okay.
No, I mean, as a series admin of it, I don't want to see that type of response to somebody who had position on you anyway, and technically you came down into his lane, but it is what it is. Could he done it a little bit more subtle? Yes. I mean, he definitely was fast enough to get there and do things correctly. I just think he wanted to show his displeasure of what he thought Jonathan did. We all know that Cofield's definitely not a dirty driver. Definitely won't move you out of the way, So I mean, if he had position, he's gonna stay in that position, regardless.
Yeah.
And as you see at the end of the race, where he definitely wrecked his own race to try to stay out of Tanner and try to not to wreck anybody else, in that sense. So I mean, I got to give props to Cofield for everything that he did. But Tanner, on the other hand, he could have showed just a little bit more, cool headedness.
Yeah, I mean, he was on older tires. That's a situation you put yourself in. It's not Jonathan Cofield's fault that you stayed out on old tires.
Right.
And it's not Cofield's responsibility to navigate that. That's Tanner Bethea's responsibility. And Cofield, with the fresher tires, drove in there and definitely moved it. I mean, he got there and pushed him up the track. Tanner, being the driver he is, and the track that we were at, he moved up the track, and he felt like he was done wrong. Now, Eddie subscribes to this. This is not a goat locker thing. I'm a hide goat locker when I say this. This is Eddie's. I subscribe to eye for an eye retaliation when it comes to racing others. And I don't mean retaliation. If somebody wrecks me, I'm going to go out there and wreck them. I have done that in the past, but I don't want to be that way. And I'm definitely not going to do that here in Goat Locker for damn sure. But when we're talking about using the bumper, if somebody is willing to use the bumper on me, then I think it's fair game. I think that when Cofield drove it down in there and said, hey, I'm going to use the bumper, then I think it was 100% fair game for Tanner Bethea to drive in there and use the bumper. But I think he knew his tires weren't going to let him get there and decided to do some wild move. So as a teachable moment here on the track at this point, you got, man. Take the L in this moment. Take the L and say, you know what? I'm on older tires. This guy drove in there. He moved me out of the way. Yes, I could dive bomb in there and do something like what Tanner did, but I think at that point you just need to take the L and say, you know what, I got beat there, and that's okay. I don't need to do anything crazy and do anything wild. Obviously, way over the top, I think was that response, and so. If you're looking for an admin decision or what Goat Locker describes to do, it's definitely not to do that right there. So this is a great lesson. We don't sit here and break down every incident that happens on the track, but I just thought this was an interesting one because there were layers to it. I mean, Tanner is going to get the brunt force of it because of how rough it looked. Great job by Cofield not wrecking, but there was two sides to the story. So I was interested to hear y'all's thoughts, and I think we're all in agreement here on that one. So anyway, we'll move forward. We got just a few minutes left, and so we'll jump on through here. The Arca points look pretty good. We won't spend too much time on this. You got Cofield out front in the point standings. Tyler Justice now leading the way. He has been for a while. Rusty Rafferty got the amateur division win the other night. So congratulations to him. And we'll move on to the Friday night truck series, which was incredible. Jake, we might just not let you talk on this one. I don't know, but let's go back and check it out.
Off of 4, 1 lap to go from Iowa. Trouble in the back. Will there be a caution? No, there won't. Sturgeon is around. There's contact for 50-something at the racetrack. The Duke off of turn number 2. Side by side for second. All he needs is Cunningham to have anything left into turn 3. Ascend to the outside. McCarty and Gardner make contact, but it won't matter. The Duke off the turn 4 secures a spot in the playoffs and wins at Iowa. 8 for 8 on different winners, and the Duke gets it done. What a race.
Well, I love to see that emotion. Like when y'all cross the start-finish line, you win, man. It's so cool to see that kind of emotion out of you guys. So I wanted to show that just because I love to see, because it means a lot when you win. These races are so hard to win, and so it was really cool to see that emotion. And there we go. I mean, gosh. We have what I think it is actually 8 different winners. 2 winners are not on that list, and so out of 8 weeks, we've got 8 different winners. Just incredible. And the racing that night was really, really obviously for me. The heartbreak is for Daniel Cunningham. I've known Cunningham for a while, and he was in a great position to get a win there. And he did great. Everyone restarted except for the one he needed to do well at, and Duke, Cunningham didn't really do anything wrong. Duke did everything right, and he came off the corner with the lead on the bottom, and that's exactly what he needed to do. But I still felt terrible for Cunningham because I thought he had the fuel strategy that he needed all night. He was planning for it. Everything still kind of worked out in his favor, and couldn't get it done. So it just felt terrible for him. But congratulations to David Duke, who got the win. Yep. Had to fight for it there. He had to come from a lap down. He got trapped a lap down during the pit cycle and came back to win it. So very, very cool to see that emotion. And I thought overall that was a really, really good race. A great call by Alec Martinez as the lead. Very exciting stuff. So, what did y'all think about that race?
I wish people didn't get so excited after they went and got their tires that they spun themselves out. That happened twice during green flag cycles, and both times it really messed my race up.
Yeah.
I led a lot of laps that race. Really, the truck was super strong, and every time we start cycling through, somebody would spin out, kind of shuffle things around. I think the first time it didn't hurt so bad. The second time it really hurt bad, and it shuffled me all the way back to 12th, and able to fight my way back up there. So it was disappointing for me. I mean, it's definitely cool to see, eight races, 8 different winners. But that's one of those ones that it got away. And it got away because people got too damn excited. We didn't really have, I don't think, for cause cautions. Just people whoop, and it just happened to be at the exact wrong time. For me, but
the setup builder actually came into Discord and said, "Hey guys, be careful on cold tires." Came into Discord earlier in the week and said that, and that's what bit most everybody.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Gardner.
Yeah, he was one of them. Yeah.
He was the worst one. He hurt you the most. That's for sure. That was probably the worst one.
No, it was the second one, which was my goodness, Jesse Necula.
No. Okay. Yeah.
It was the second one that was Necula, because we kind of cycled through, and then I knew some guys were going to stay out a little bit longer just because of when they actually had pit, but they were still going to have to pit. And then that caution came out, but whatever. Still a damn good race. It's been outstanding racing on Friday nights, actually. And so good to see, this amount of guys win. And it's going to, again, like I said, when we were talking about Xfinity, it is going to be wild when these playoffs start.
Jake, any comments?
I'm definitely good.
Okay.
I really didn't get a long enough run in to take anything seriously in the race. But big congrats to David Duke on the win. It was definitely well earned coming from a lap down. Other than that, I was just in the back screwing around, clutching at every corner, seeing how long I could make it on fuel.
Yeah, well, it was I enjoyed watching it. It was another good one. I've really enjoyed the Friday night series, just sitting back, letting the announcers talk while I get to watch the action, and y'all have put on such a good show. So Veterans for Life Racing, thank them and Veterans for Life Foundation for the Arca series. Definitely want to thank those sponsors for both of those series. Pretty much the same thing. Jamie actually said in chat earlier, it takes an hour to set the sim rig, 5 minutes to put it together, 55 minutes to figure out what's not plugged in. So, little trash talk there from Mr. Perkins in chat. So, well, let's move on to the Sunday. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, we could continue down that road and all that other kind of fun stuff too.
Well,
we
got a hard out.
We'll let that man have his moment in chat.
We got a hard out.
Yeah,
we're trying to get
a hard
out. We got a hard out,
sorry.
so we're gonna get through the Sunday, and then we will we'll call it quits. So let's take a look at the NVETS Sunday Series. One we talked about with the broadcasting. People were not happy with, but let's take a look at it here.
Take the white flag. If we do, the next flag will be the checkered. We will make it back to the line. White flag in the air, 1 to go. They're almost 3 wide for second. Eddie Smith has a 2-truck length advantage over Lucas Lyons, who tries that high side in the dirty air of Smith. He's going to get a good run, though, down the backstretch. Does Lyons have anything for the 87 of Smith? He goes down to the outside, or tries to keep that hold of Smith, who takes that dirty air away. I don't think anyone else is going to have a shot. Eddie Smith won. He wins it here at Kansas.
What?
Well, that was a fun race. There were a lot of cautions. We kind of talked about maybe some criticism about just not having much to talk about, and it was a lot. I mean, it was tough. I mean, Kansas is a tricky track. All in all, because there is a very specific secret about that track. When Kansas was released, it was a high line dominant track. They actually screwed it up, I guess. I don't know if they screwed it up. They did it intentionally when iRacing was just a single groove on ovals. They didn't have multiple grooves. But these days, you can move around a little bit. However, the way that thing works is you got about 15 laps to run the bottom. You got to run full throttle right around the bottom. And then after about 15 laps, you go up to the top. And so that's why I love the track. I love being able to rip the top line, make use of the lines, make the runs. I was able to make up a few spots just running the top. You kind of – it's one of those things where – and this is why I love it, because you can it's like credit. You cash in, my tire wear. Am I going to burn the tires up a little bit to make up 5 spots? Is that worth it? And those are cool decisions you very rarely get to make of, am I going to run the bottom, try to save my tires, or am I going to jump up to the outside and make up 2 or 3 spots, maybe lose a little bit of tire wear on the backside, but, it's going to be tough to pass once it becomes highline dominant. So, love the track. I thought the racing was really good. The strategy kind of got thrown for a loop, kind of like the Friday night series where there was a caution. There was a lot of cautions for sure, but it definitely played out to where at the end, me and Lucas were still right there. I had a decision to make on the final restart. Had a fellow with old tires, Andrew Player, I believe is his name, and he was on older tires out there, and I put Lucas behind him. That way I could try to hold off Lucas because we know how fast he is. So, yeah, it was fun. We still came down to it at the end, going down in 3 and 4, made a decision, trying to figure out where he was going to run. Didn't know if he was going to run high or low. And so I just mirror drove like they do in real life and just said, okay, I'm just going to put my truck right in front of him. Wherever he seems like he's going, that's where I'm going as well. And it just worked out. So really cool to get that win. Love Kansas in the trucks. It's such a fun track. It's so much fun to run three wide, sometimes 4 wide. We saw that with a couple incidents. So pretty cool to get a win there. It was a pretty fun race all in all. Did you go back and watch that at all, Pat? I think you said you watched it.
Yeah, I actually went back and watched it today. Yeah, it was a tough race. Some mistakes were made and, things along those lines. Some of them a little more egregious than others. Some of them make you kind of scratch your head a little bit, like, what was that guy thinking? But I think the guys did a great job calling the race. It did come down to a pretty cool finish. And I do enjoy Kansas for the same reason, Eddie. I mean, it's multiple lines. And you got to figure out which one is working for you in that moment. And then, what's the give and take of running that line for X amount of laps. And, what's the guy behind you doing? What's the guy in front of you doing? So there's a lot of different things that you could do at Kansas. And we got to see some of that play out.
Well, I guess, Jake, you don't have any thoughts?
I do not.
I don't want to cut you off, but
I didn't watch the race or anything like that.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Well, it was a lot of cautions in that race, but I want to thank InVets for their sponsorship of that series and all the drivers out there. I know it was a tough one, but yeah, you got to just kind of just say, oh well, and just move on to the next one. It's going to be like that sometimes, and especially with the racing like at Kansas it is, and the trucks just kind of give way to some wild racing. That's why people love them. So. Well, looking at the point standings, Duke is still on top. Ben Stevens with the 2 wins, and then a lot of wins from drivers who are not eligible for the playoffs, and so that's why it looks kind of bare with the wins up there between Chet Taylor, Andrew Player, Brandon Wallace, all those guys safely into the playoffs with just a few races left. And right there on the cutoff, got Johnny Cofield, who's been doing really well, Bobby Germain, just 1 point or 2 points separate those guys. So. Got a lot of races still left to go, but it's getting down to crunch time for the playoffs, and but can't wait to see how it all plays out. But let's get out of here. We're trying to slow these down a little bit, or shorten these up a little bit, and I think we did a good job. Thank y'all for being in chat. A lot of action in chat. Everybody's doing a lot of typing and talking, giving your opinions. That's what we like to see. We want your opinions, even if we might disagree with them. I don't know, but we want to see them, so we appreciate y'all being active in chat. Jacob, thank you for being here tonight. Patrick, of course, thanks for coming in, sort of a last-minute type thing, but glad that we did. Got to talk to the winner of the Xfinity Series and got to hear a little bit more about that FFA convention. Can't wait to see what comes out of the Cruising Classics and the Nasties deal in the next couple days. If you're in Ohio, hey, go check them out.
Gonna be there.
Nasty's Restaurant and Bar. Jake's gonna be there, so if you got some beef with Jake or you want to settle some scores, that's where he'll be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, you'll see him out there trying to figure out what's plugged in on the sim rig and try to get it going. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Want to thank everybody for what they do and everybody for watching. Hope y'all enjoy it. We'll see y'all next week. Tomorrow night, though, we'll be at the Hidden Wit Brewery Xfinity Series. And we've got some really good racing coming up this week, so come on out and check it out. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not to VSPEED. We want those likes. Y'all have been doing a fantastic job liking those videos. Those likes have gone from about 3, 4, 5 likes to about 20, 25, sometimes 30. Keep that up, please. It definitely makes a huge difference. It's not just for no reason at all. We want to keep that going, so we definitely appreciate those who have been doing that and commenting. So thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week.